I'm going to show you some really good looking watches. These are watches that in my opinion have immaculate design, whether it be the shape of the case, how the dial is laid out, or just simply the colours that the watches use. These are watches that I just can't get out of my head and I just keep coming back to. All of these are affordable, most of these are from underrated micro brands, and I think you're going to find some watches in this video that you've never seen before, but you'll likely want to buy after seeing them today. My name is Kieran, welcome to Top Tier Ticker, I hope you're having a good day. If you could do me a massive favour, hit the subscribe button. We're nearly 100,000 subscribers, it would make my day. Alternatively, drop the video a like rating if you enjoyed the watches that I suggest today, and let me know which are your favourites in the comments. Let's go. Okay, so starting off today's video, we're going to be visiting a Japanese watchmaker. Unfortunately, not Seiko, because they've not been having too good of a year this year, but one brand that has been smashing it out of the park is Citizen. So this is a relatively new watch from them, and it's called the Stiletto. This is just a perfect dress watch. The dial is so clean, it's minimal, it feels so sophisticated, but there's just enough quirk here that keeps you coming back for a second look. There's a very subtle textured finish to this dial, which I think adds a lot to the overall design, but it's truly the case thickness here that steals the show. Less than 5mm thick. Yes, 5mm. This one is going to wear like a piece of paper. It's going to slide under any cuff with ease. And because this is a solar movement, it's going to be a pleasure to wear. Wear it a couple times a month and it's one of those set and forget type of watches. Price is also super compelling. It comes in at £279. That's a stainless steel case, solar movement, sapphire crystal. And also I think they've done a good job at giving this watch a strap that actually matches the design. Okay, we're completely switching styles for this next watch, but this is one that I think a lot of people are going to appreciate. So this is a German watch brand, and these are made in Germany watches. They're certainly not Bauhaus, they're certainly not minimal. They've got that luxurious industrial effect, but still looks rather classical. So this is the Helicoprion by Heinrich. The first thing to point out, and the thing that does it for me, is the screwed bezel. This thing looks so damn sexy. I also love that the date window is circular and framed. It feels like it matches that steel bezel perfectly. And if you're somebody that likes to have unusual dials on your watches, there's plenty of stone and mineral dial options here, all of them packed with colour, energy and style. Now this one is on the more expensive side, it starts at €989, but these do feature Swiss-made Stiletto SW200 elaborate grade movements, which if you didn't know is the top end grade. 200 meters of water resistance, sapphire crystal on the fly clasps. These are spec'd out to the nines, and I think the design here is just perfection. Okay, next up we're going to be visiting New York City, the Big Apple, for a brand new release from the Brew watch company. Now this is the Metric Lite. This is a fairly new release from Brew. Now the integrated bracelet sports watch trend has been massive over the past few years, but none of them have done quite this. You see, what Brew have done here is they've made quite a classical sports watch in the sense that it doesn't change the game in any sort of way. The dial design is certainly vintage inspired with those applied indexes and that handset, but it's the dimensions here that you just don't see very often. This one comes in with a 30mm case with a 34mm lug to lug, so absolutely on the smaller side when it comes to dimensions. But I really appreciate that. I think sports watches are getting way too big, way too flashy, so to have something a little bit smaller on wrist, this can almost double up as a dress watch. You still get a sapphire crystal and an automatic Miyota movement, and I think if you want a sports watch but you don't want something that's loud and in your face, then the Brew Metric Lite at just $375 is certainly one that I feel confident pointing you towards. Now, a lot of you might have noticed that I don't really cover many dive watches on this channel, and that's just because, simply put, I don't have that much of a fascination with dive watches, and it's just a genre of watch that I don't really gravitate towards. However, one thing I do like, and there's going to be a couple in this video actually, is a compressor style diver. There's just something about how the bezel looks under the crystal that just gets me tingling inside. This is the Kuoe Sombrero. Now this isn't a brand new watch, I think this got released towards the end of last year. Kuoe nailed the design here, there's no other way to put it. Applied Arabic numerals 12, 3, 6 and 9. They just look $1,000,000 against this textured dial. There's plenty of choice here when it comes to colour, nothing's too out there or too vibrant. Now this is on the more expensive side, these are made in Japan watches, and you are getting a premium movement and a premium construction here. It comes in at £790. The Kuoe Sombrero is one of the classiest dive watches that I've ever seen, and I think if you're a little bit bored of divers or you're not that big of a fan of them, then you should check out compressors, because for me they have way more charm and character. Okay, next up, I'm throwing an absolute curveball at you, but just stick with me here. This is MD Watches, and these guys make watches that look like no other brand. Now, what MD Watches do is they sort of go after that haute horology look, high-end watchmaking, expensive watches, but what they do is use affordable movements, which basically means you sort of get high-end design, but the price is a lot more approachable for affordable collectors. Now, this is called the Supernatural, and this is what's known as a regulator watch. Basically, instead of the time being told using one stack of hands, each hand has been separated and they have their own dial. So this is one where you'll certainly have to take a couple of extra seconds to read the time, but I don't think you'll be mad at it just because of how good this one looks. It's certainly an acquired taste, don't get me wrong, I know that, but I think if you like unique watches, or you've already got a collection that's full of your regular stuff, getting something completely different for the collection like this might be the thing to do. Comes with a Miyota automatic caliber sapphire crystal, and price here is also pretty hard to argue with. These come in under £500 and you have a serious choice when it comes to colour options. Okay, next up, we've got a true Gada watch. Now, the everyday watch is something that I've only really got into over the last few months. You see, I don't see the point of being jack of all trades, master of none, but watches like this are seriously starting to change my mind. Now, this is the Nodus Sector 2 Sport, and this watch combines dressy elements with a little bit of sports watch, maybe even a little bit of dive watch DNA. It puts it all together and makes something that you could truly wear anytime, any day. Now, my favourite from the collection is for sure the two-tone version. This one comes with a gorgeous bronze bezel and a bronze crown, but this one isn't too bronze or overly two-tone. You still get a stainless steel case and a stainless steel bracelet here, but I think how the gilt indexes and handset matches the bronze bezel is just perfection. Seiko automatic movement inside of this one, so it's super reliable, sapphire crystal, 100 meters, and price here is also super approachable. $500 and this is an American-based micro brand, so if the tariffs are getting a little bit too expensive for you guys in the US, it's time to start supporting your American brands like Nodus because they're doing a fantastic job. Okay, so recently I reviewed a watch for the first time called Aerotec, and although the watch I reviewed, I wouldn't personally buy one because it had a ghost 8 position, I've kind of fallen in love with their design language. It's out there, it's a little bit boisterous, it's a little bit over the top. Now this is their Black Label Wave Diver. Again, it's another compressor style like the Kuoe from earlier, but this one is less classical for sure. First of all, the dial finishes on these watches, they're just sublime. They look incredible, they're full of life, full of energy. I also love the 3, 6 and 9 indexes, look as if they're being sucked in towards the pinion, and of course the bezel, the crystal, everything here looks $1,000,000. Price here is super competitive. These come in at $559, and that's for sapphire automatic Miyota 9000, also 300 meters of water resistance. So even though you're probably not going to take this beyond the pool, it's certainly capable of more than that. The dial options here are crazy, they're so much fun, and if you need some color in your collection, these are seriously something to consider. Okay, next up, we're checking out a watch that I recently reviewed on the channel, but I think for sure deserves a second look. So this is the Alpharo Model 1. This is a watch that's inspired by non-Euclidean geometry. Now, if you don't know what that means, don't worry, I don't really know either. Basically, it's the idea of curved space-time, and that inspiration has led to this insane curved dial and handset. Now, at first glance, you might think, how do I read the time? But there are 12 spirals on the dial, and those are effectively your hour markers. Where they meet the minute track is where you'll use them to read the time. And this is one of the first watches ever, maybe even the first watch that features a curved handset. This watch features one of the best looking casebacks I have ever seen on a watch ever. It's a shame you can't wear this watch backwards because it looks so good. And through that tiny little sapphire peephole is a Miyota 9000 series caliber. These ones come in at just over £500 and this is a British micro brand. However, this one is currently on Kickstarter for a pre-order, so you will have to wait for this one if you're interested. Only 3 dial options with this one, but I think all 3 have been absolutely nailed. This one's different, it's fun, it's out there, it's a little bit quirky, but I think in a larger collection you need some fun pieces like this to liven things up. Okay, next up we are checking out the craziest watch on today's video. Now it is crazy, but sort of just go with me here, I promise I'm taking you somewhere special. Now this is the Xeric Retroscope. Now instantly you're probably going to look at this and think, wow, that is either one of the best looking things I've ever seen or one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. But it's actually the complication here that is something special that you never see at this price point. So this is a jump hour, but it's also a retrograde watch. Now what that means is that central minute hand moves from the left hand side to the dial at 0 to the right hand side of the dial at at 60 minutes, then once it gets to 60, it flies back to the 0. And when it does that flyback, the hour at the 6 o'clock jumps over to the next. And yes, the design here is a little bit crazy, it's out there, but it's actually inspired by race cars, you know, like speedometers. Loads of colour options here, including a mint green, a red, blue, silver. Miyota quartz movement inside of here, I think they've been modified in order to deliver this complication, but you're still getting sapphire, stainless steel, and a rubber strap on these. Xeric are currently selling these for just $209. I want to add one of these to my collection just to the fact that I've got a retrograde jump hour. Okay, next up, we're revisiting a model that we have mentioned on the channel before, but I think it is that good looking, it's that pretty, that it deserves a second mention. So this one feels vintage inspired, not only in terms of the dial design, but also the size of the watch and the colours that it's used. It's sort of a vintage inspired watch with a contemporary twist. My favourite is for sure the two-tone version, but because this watch features a gorgeous chocolate dial, you're going to be able to wear this on any leather strap, maybe a tan, a brown, and it's going to look $1,000,000. Seiko automatic movement inside of here, sapphire crystal, 100 meters of water resistance too, so this is one you can take for a dip in the pool. I don't currently have a GMT in my collection, at least not one that I wear often, and this is one that I keep coming back to thinking I just need to buy it because for me it is just a complete design. Price point here is incredible, £349. Maystone watches, this is their first release, they've got a big future because if they continue to make watches that look this good, they're going to be big players in the game. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit like, hit subscribe, I appreciate you. And there's another video here for you to go and watch if you've not yet finished hearing my annoying voice. Go and check it out. I'll see you over there, guys. Bye for now.